from my observation, almost many teams, they want to be high performing. But the problem is that some are soaring and performing, others are not. My question then is, what are the drivers for those teams that are high performers? What make them high performing teams?
Yeah. So, the flip side of that, right? You'd ask about red flags, and now let's talk about, I guess, green flags. Like I said, this plays out. It takes longer to sense this in a team because it plays out in a lot of different ways. But again, it's a cultural thing. And when we look about, like what we talk about in my latest book, Best Team Ever, when we talk about the culture of a team, we fundamentally I'm looking for 3 cultural elements. What I call common understanding. Sometimes the research literature calls it shared understanding. So common understanding, a sense of psychological safety, which is actually a lot of what I was just talking about was the lack of psychological safety. And then a sense of pro-social purpose or intrinsic motivation, right? So common understanding is how well the team is clear on their deliverables, their roles and responsibilities. They know how everyone's work fits into the larger whole, but they also know each other and have sort of a shared understanding of each other's personality differences, strengths and weaknesses, workplace preferences, communication preferences, all of that sort of stuff, right? So I like to think of that as how well the team like clicks. How well do you just enjoy being on the team? Well, it's probably because you feel like those people actually know you and you know them, and as a result, you can collaborate better. The psychological safety is that freedom to speak up when we disagree, that freedom to share new ideas, to talk about failures without feeling like you're going to be made fun of, ostracized, penalized, etc. And then that last one, pro-social purpose. I think that we're all familiar with purpose. We're all familiar with Simon Sinek's why. So what does this pro-social mean? Well, one of the things we found about the last 10 years of research on purpose is that the most motivating purpose for most individuals and for most teams is a tangible sense of who, not necessarily why. Who is served by the work that we're doing? If we as a team are doing a good job, here is the stakeholder, the fellow team, the end user, whoever it is. Here is the who, whose life is made better or whose work is made better by us doing a great job. And you find
do you think that's because of the way we are wired, where we care more about other people, we care about more about serving other people than serving ourselves? Do you think that's the human psychology?
Yeah. I mean, humans are social creatures, right? Even individualistic cultures, like in the United States. I think it comes from, if you want to go really, really nerdy on pro-social purpose, if you remember things like, Robin Dunbar and Dunbar's number, the idea that we were in tribes of around 150, et cetera. I think we were designed to see our impact on the world in much smaller communities. It used to be much easier to know you were making a positive impact because there was just your tribe and you could see how you're helping them and you're supporting them, right? And now we're in these large multinational organizations, which is great. I think the organization is probably the greatest invention that humans have ever come up with, because the ability to just continue to collaborate at scale has done things no other species on this planet has been able to do. I think that's great. But it also comes with some drawbacks. When you have a 10,000 person multinational organization and you're trying to get them all to be synced up against this mission statement that needs to apply to everyone, well, it's really hard to see yourself in that. And so what we were designed to do was to see ourselves and our impact based on a few people, a who. So yeah, I think it goes right back into, tens of thousands of years ago, into how we were designed to see purpose. And the smartest teams, the highest performing teams, they don't do things that they're not misaligned from the mission or the vision. What they've done is they've figured out their role in making that mission a reality. And then they figured out the next step, which is who is counting on us to fulfill that mission. And it makes for a lot more intrinsic motivation. And the other thing you see is that it makes for a lot more willingness to put your own ego and your own agenda aside for the good of the team. And that's what makes for stronger team working. Or us, AZ. People like us like to come up with fancy terms. So we learned it in residency. We learned it in the doctoral program. We learned it as organizational citizenship behaviors. But that's just a fancy word for teamwork. You see better, more teamwork when people have this stakeholder-centered purpose.